Okay, so for today, we're going to discuss, of course, the chapter 4, no? We're in this chapter 4 focus, of course, with uh, the legal and policy frameworks for e-governance, no? And as I mentioned earlier, no, they would really focus on uh, the available legal and policy framework in the Philippines when it comes to e-government or e-governance, no? Okay, so there is no Philippine law that guarantees the right to internet access, no? The E-commerce Act of 2000 or the Republic Act 8792 provides for the recognition and use of electronic commercial and non-commercial transaction in documents and penalties of unlawful use, no? There are no legislative frameworks regulating the delivery of digital enabled services or the openness, no, of the technical architecture of the underlying e-services or citizen charters guaranteeing responsiveness and accountability of e-government services and specifying redress mechanism. The Philippine Congress passed Republic Act 10173 or Data Privacy Act of 2012, no, which provides the legal framework of protecting digitalized personal information of individuals held by government and the private sector, no, and the creation of national privacy commission. So it happens that previously the chief for compliance is a good friend of mine, that is Dr. Rolando Lansigan, and the chairman before is Dr. Liburols, of course, a circle of friends, no. The guidelines for implementation of this law are unavailable and the National Privacy Commission is not yet to be constituted, no. So right now, no, we are our country, no, of course, observing and applying, no, or performing their task, no, as the National Privacy Commission for Data Privacy Act by heart, no. And we have, of course, the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, no, that is the Republic Act of 101,715. It is a law drafted to support the data privacy law. And the law defines cybercrime and provides for the prevention, investigation, suppression, and the imposition of penalties. Other law that pertain to right to privacy and confidentiality include the Commonwealth Act number 591 establishing the Bureau of Census and Statistics, that is way back 1940, no. Republic Act 1161, the SSS law. Republic Act 1405, the Bank Secrecy Law. Republic Act 4200, that is wiretapping law. We have, of course, a Republic Act 9372, Human Security Act, no. We have Republic Act 8505, the Rape Victim Assistance, and Republic Act 7610, no. This Republic Act is anti-child abuse law, and the new laws had been enacted to address the EVAW, such as Republic Act number 995, Anti-Photo and Video Voyeurism Act of 2009, and Republic Act 9775, or an act defining the crime of child pornography, prescribing penalties thereof, and other purposes. And the aforementioned Republic Act number 10175, Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. So, in the absence of the Freedom of Information Law, no, in Section 7, Article 3 of the Bill of Rights of the 1987 Constitution ensures that access to official records and documents and paper pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions are as well as the government research data used, no, as basis of policy development shall be afforded the citizens subject to such limitations as may be provided by law. The Freedom of Information Bill or the FOI, an integral element of the administration good governance and anti-corruption plan 2012 to 2016, pursues greater transparency, no, accountability, and citizen participation in governance. Section 7 of the Bill of Rights, no, recognize the rights of the people to information on matters of public concern. An FOI or the Freedom of Information Law would bolster the Code of Ethics of Government Officials and Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. In 2014, the Senate passed its version of course, the Freedom of Information Bill. And the FOI bill is awaiting its second reading in the House of Representatives as March 2015. President Aquino has said that the passage of the FOI bill is priority in this final year in his office. No, like many other crafted policies, the proposed law is silent on gender issues and consideration. Actually, there are bills, no, in Congress that seek to address and fill in the current gaps of the e-government ecosystem. No, pending legislation on the right to internet access, capacity building in digital literacy, and the institutionalization of national government agency dedicated to ICT, e-government, and e-services will enable the e-government strategy to continue no, to inclusive and interoperability framework, no, that is being carried out by the e-government master plan. Another key legislation that is pending is a bill creating the Department of Information in Communication Technology, no, which is part of the 2015 to 16 congressional agenda of the Aquino administration. And this bill is expected to establish a more stable and predictable policy and business environment. But right now, no, the DICT is now performing, no, I salute with them, no, for the DICT, because a lot of project, no, implemented with the DICT. There is another agency that I think last time that is handled by I don't know if that is Gringo Onasan, no, if I'm not mistaken. Now, right now, no, we have of course the e-governance and open access, no. This say it takes a village to raise a child, no. It in almost the same way it takes a nation to spur change, no. So to further push our vision of a financial inclusive digital economy, the loss of the land should greatly help the fintech, no, industry in doing so. The Philippine dream is for us to flourish and thrive in a cash life or cash light digital forward society, just like our neighboring countries are already doing so. Gone are the days of cash-dependent transaction, paper-centric centric processes, and slow, inefficient services. It is time to adapt and catch up. And with the Marcos administration set on ramping up the digitalization of the government. And based on our uh, government officials, no, we are on our way. And of course, these government efforts, no, towards digitalization are in line with the vision and the 8-point socioeconomic agenda, which include eliminating red tape in government processes. No, I've heard it already for how many years. Looking forward that this time, no, meron na po sanang changes. And digitizing and centralizing important government data. It happens actually in some local government units, no? And looking forward that Taguig City University be able also to embrace, no, the digitizing and centralizing important government data. What we need now is a financial ecosystem that is built on transparency, hinge on efficiency, strengthened by convenience, and takes pride in accountability. Because I believe that the proposed e-governance act will help us, no, achieve by ensuring quick and efficient services that will spur the safe, secure, and convenient digital economy all Filipinos deserve to participate in. So, maybe you're asking what is the e-governance act. Bagong-bago to, no? The proposed e-governance act of 2022, that's 2022, this would mandate the government to implement an integrated, ito yung ano niya integrated, interconnected, and interoperable information and resource sharing communications network that would connect all national and local government units. So this communications network will act as an internal records management information system, a centralized information database, and an open digital portals of the delivery of public service. No, napakaganda pakinggan, no? Kasi this will be the idea behind our national ID, right? No, even yung mga PhilHealth, yung kapag nagpa-hospitalize ka, connected na dun sa pinaka-database ng PhilHealth, kapag nag-loan ka, connected and so on and so forth. So ganun kadali. Pag nag-request ka ng passport, ng visa, everything. Yun yung idea behind e-Governance Act. So, using the power of digital infrastructure, we're in right now, this will be a big challenge in our country because we need to accept the fact that right now hindi pa tayo ganon when it comes to digital infrastructure. Information technology and communications technology. So traditional paper-based workflows and processes will now be turned to digital, making everyone's life easier, more efficient, and more transparent. It's about time that the delivery of the public services should be seamless and secure. So with this measure, government officials and citizens will experience firsthand how technology and digital innovations can improve the daily quality of life and give them the ease and peace of mind they deserve. Almost everything is done online nowadays. Diba ngayon, shopping natin. Ako, let's say for example, sa subdivision, no need for me to go to a market, no, just go to the group, no, FB group, no, or page, no, we could able to order automatically delivered anything, no, na makita mo pwede mo order and ma-deliver. Even of course the item is in other country like Shopee, we are using Shopee, Lazada, and so on. Even medical consultation, no, during pandemic, no, I am utilizing the medical consultation, no, bill payments right now, no need for me to go to Smart, Globe, Meralco, Manila Water or MWSS, SSS, Pag-ibig. No need for me to go there because I could able to pay bill online and even live events. No? Shouldn't basic public services follow suit? No? The COVID-19 pandemic showed us how critical digital is. Unable to leave our homes during the lockdown, completing a basic task like paying bill, as I mentioned, buying medicine, di ba? Pwede na rin tayong magpa-deliver ng medicine. And withdrawing cash were almost impossible for millions of Filipinos, especially those in far-flung regions. No? So the pandemic truly highlighted the painful and large gaps in our society, especially in the delivery of government services around the country. Even prior to the pandemic, no, applying for a government ID or renewing your passport was a burden to the general public.
Sabi baka pwede, support.
Paki-mute po. Okay. Of course, as I mentioned, no, prior to pandemic, no, again, applying for a government ID, no, or renewing your passport was a burden to the general public. Inaccessible locations, understaffed and packed offices, long queues, no, expensive fees, lack of online resources, delivery delays, and heavy dependence on physical appointments. So, with the government or with the e-governance law in effect, a digitized version of the government will prevail. So the proposed e-governance roadmap will be spearheaded by the Department of Information and Communication Technology, led by a visionary and an in-governance champion, no, DICT Undersecretary Dave Almerol. No, I knew him also personally. No, he who harmonizes and rationalizes the digital assets, no, of the bureaucracy and fully participate in this technologically advanced economy. Once passed and signed into law, it would also encourage digital and tech expert and professional to join the government with compensation that would be at par with the private sector. Linkages between agency will be quicker and information will be more easily accessible to citizens because the DICT looking forward for a database building, interagency coordination, open resource sharing, and clear interregional communication. The possibilities are endless. No, the E-Governance Act would also create the Philippine Infrastructure Management Corporation, which would ensure the proper and efficient management of our ICT assets. And the body will also be in charge of educating the masses and government officials on these assets. So, the law would also create the integrated government network, the primary digital source of all resources, information, and data that can be shared to digital platforms across the government. These moves would greatly minimize delays and miscommunication between agencies and promote transparency via reliable digital resource sharing. So, again, the COVID-19 pandemic merely expedited the changes we knew, not or we knew we needed for a long time. As the country moves forward amid a slow but steady post-pandemic economic recovery, now is the best time to implement this measure. It is already a clear priority for the government, as the Congress Complementary Open Access in Internet Services Act has also just been approved by the House of Representatives on the third reading, actually last December. And the immediate enactment of the proposed law is key in not only supporting the E-Governance Act but also adhering to the Marcos administration's goal of promoting universal, seamless, and secure connectivity for Filipinos. If passed into law, the Open Access in Internet Services Act would allow industry players to create a simpler and more efficient licensing processes in all segments of the broadband networks, which will allow more internet service providers or ISP a fair opportunity to operate, of course, to operate uh, to operate their own networks, no? Of course. And at the same time, it would also provide a policy and regulatory framework for digital connectivity that will ease the outdated legal obstacle that have stifled the growth of the Philippine internet for decades. With the help of the industry and most importantly the administration, we can quickly get to work on building a strong foundation for our inevitably digital future. And how can we do this? By fostering a more responsive environment that is quick and adapted to the people's needs. This all starts with bringing basic goods and services closer and easier to the people. And that proven way to do this is through massive digitalization and progress. I don't know if you are aware with Mr. Lito Villanueva. He is award-winning thought leader on the digital transformation and inclusive digital finance. He is the Executive Vice President and Chief Innovation and Inclusion Officer of the RCBC. No? Concurrently, he is the Chief Digital Transformation Advisor for the Yuchenko Group of Companies. And he is also the founding chairman of FinTech Alliance.ph, the Philippines' largest organizations of startups and unicorns that collectively generates over 90% of digital transaction volume in the country today. He was recently elected global chairman of the South Africa-based Alliance of Digital Finance Association. Okay. So, the strategic vision on inclusion of gender and equality in policy frameworks, the Philippine government recognizes the challenge of inclusive growth and of making public services, including the online service of government, inclusive. Recently, as I mentioned, e-government policies, the Philippine Digital Strategy and the e-government master plan align the harmonized policies recognizing the rules of ICT for empowerment and outline plans of action to narrow the digital and gender divide at the same time. Robust scaffolding to the government e-government policies and strategies is provided by the country's advanced policies on gender equality and even the women's right, no. So the government gender mainstreaming strategy has been institutionalized through the enactment of the Magna Carta for women, no. So I think all government agency are observed, no, the gender equality, no, or God yun God, gender and development, no, gender and development. So gender means streaming is a strategy that establish gender responsiveness as the key norm required to promote good governance, no. So the implementing rules and regulations of Magna Carta of women focuses on supporting, aligning, and consolidating existing efforts of government agencies, including ICT, in a government strategies and activities like bottom-up budgeting that seek to further gender equality. So, what else? I just want to share a video presentation, pero wait for a while. No, wait lang ha. Hold on. Okay, so while we are waiting for the video presentation, no, I'll just want to first to happen. Wow. Hindi ko kasi siya makita eh. I have this one. Wait lang. So, good evening, everyone. So, for today, we're going to discuss about e-government and public administration. Again, e-government is also with e-governance. No? Refers to the use of digital technologies such as the internet and mobile devices to deliver government services and information to citizens. No? So, the ultimate goal of e-government is to provide an increased portfolio of public services to citizens, no, in an efficient and a cost-effective manner while promoting transparency, accessibility, and accountability. While there are many potential advantages to e-government, Okay, while we are waiting with the video presentation, I just want to add an inputs no from the e-governance no specifically for the DICT no. So right now we have a different we have 9 pillars of digital media no. The broadband, no? The public internet, the information for everyone, early harvest program, no, universal access to phones, no, electronic delivery, no, electronic delivery of services, of course, for the IT for jobs, no, e-governance and electronic manufacturing right now, no, and of course, MyGov, no, it aims to establish a link between government and citizens toward meeting the goal of good governance. No, it encouraged citizens as well as people abroad to participate in various activities. No, we have of course e-hospital online registration framework, no, or the ORF. I think we have doctor here, no. It is an initiative, no, to facilitate the patient, no, to take online OPD appointments with government hospitals, no. And this frameworks also covers patient care, laboratory services, and medical record management. uh, we have of course the Common Services Center, no. It is being implemented to develop and provide support to the use of information technology in rural areas of the country, no. So the CSCR our information and communication technology enable kiosks, no, with broadband connectivity to provide various governments, private and social services at the doorstep of the citizen, no. Right now, I think that the DOST and of course the National Center of Geoinformatics, no, under this project, no, Geographic Information System Platform for sharing collaboration, no, Project Geographic Information System, location-based analytics and decision support system department has been developed at the same time. No, I think the video is now ready. Actually, this will be our last discussion, no, with Tuesday class. Maybe you could able to get additional inputs, no, from this video presentation that was presented by a person who are in charge on Tuesday group. E-government is to provide an increased portfolio of public services to citizens, no, in an efficient and a cost-effective manner while promoting transparency, accessibility, and accountability. While there are many potential advantages to e-government, and there are also several disadvantages that must be considered. And to give us more details about the topic,
Okay. So as additional inputs no for the discussion no. Again, the House of Representatives approved on third and final reading of the Monday night a bill that institutionalized the government's shift to e-governance for faster and improved delivery services of the public. So that the House Bill no number 7327 an act institutionalizing the transition of the government to e-governance in the digital age, creating for the purpose for Philippine Infrastructure Management Corp and appropriate fund therefore. Received 304 yes votes and 4 negative votes. So Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, the principal author of the proposed law, said the measure aims to make government service accessible to the people. So the bill would make it easier for people to transact with and avail themselves of services that people transact with avail themselves of services from the government through digital platforms. It would make the delivery of services more effective, efficient, and transparent, no? As Speaker Romualdez mentioned. So House Bill number 7327, a consolidation of 21 related measures, including the first proposed e-governance law filed in the House Bill number 3, authored by the Speaker. So his co-authors of the bill are Senior Deputy Majority Leader Ilocos Norte Representative Ferdinand Alexander Marcos and Tingog Party List Representative Yeda Marique Romualdez and Jude Asedre. No? The bill seeks to adopt a policy to create, foster, and sustain digitally empowered and integrated government that provides secure, responsible, and transparent citizen-centered services and harness the potential of open data for promoting economic growth and globally competitive Filipino nation. So among other objectives, no, it would promote the use of the internet, information and communication technology and emerging technologies within and across government agencies to provide citizen-centric government information and services and improve the public trust in citizen participation in the government. It would also encourage the interagency collaboration in the delivery of services and the use of ICT to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of processes. I shall cover all executive, legislative, judicial, and constitutional offices, including local government units, state universities and colleges, government-owned or controlled corporation, and similar state instrumentalities located in the country or abroad. It would likewise apply to back-end government operations within, between, and across agencies, government-to-government transaction, particularly those involving sharing and processing of data and information between and among government agencies for policies, planning, and decision-making purposes, and other government operations. So the bill defines e-governance as the application of ICT in establishing interaction between the different levels of government, business, and the citizenry. It also involves the implementation of internal government operations meant to simplify and improve both the democratic levels of government, business, and of course, the democratic and business aspect of government, the measure stated. E-government refers to the use of ICT by the government to enhance access to and delivery of services to bring about efficient, responsive, ethical, accountable, and transparent government. The bill designates the DICT as principal implementer of the proposed law. It takes that DICT to formulate and promote an e-government master plan that will serve as the blueprint for the development and enhancement of an electronic government services processes. So agency heads are mandated to implement the proposed legislation in the coordinations with the agency. So each agency is directed to appoint a chief information officer who shall ensure that ICT systems are developed, implemented, and compliant with the ICT standards and relevant laws, including the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So the proposed law mandates that services needed for business and non-business and transaction and documents, including permits, licenses, and clearances, shall be made efficiently by integrating all agencies involved into one portal, mobile application, or similar platform. So it directs all agencies, including local governments, to continuously improve their website, to establish an e-bulletin board for information dissemination. So House Bill number 7327 creates the Philippine Infrastructure Corp to manage government ICT assets, including infrastructure, platform, and software. So the corporation shall have an authorized capital of 5 billion, and the DICT, in coordination with relevant agencies, shall issue implementing rules and regulations. So the bill creates a joint congressional oversight committee to oversee the implementation of the proposed law. So I think that's it for this topic. I hope you have learned something from the discussion for today. So may I request everyone to please turn on your camera for us to of course take picture as part of